but the internet connection, does it matter anymore? Huh? Nah, I got Starlink. I got Starlink up on the roof. I am good to go. So, a couple things right off the bat. People always ask me, is this live? It's live. Look, the market's open. It's live. Let's do this. It's July 7th here. It is a Monday afternoon. Somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Let's we're doing it live. I know you would rather listen to Boston than me. I got it. I got it, you know. I try to play some decent music before the official introduction over here. So all right. So you sound like you're in Dolby. Well, that's kind of weird. I'm sorry about that. I am not sure that's a necessarily a good thing. So sound check worked. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and get started here momentarily. Again, I just always like to make sure that everybody hears me all right, sees us all right before we do kind of officially get started. So let's get into it here. I promised I would not be long with some introductions. Obviously, we're going to be having a little bit of a discussion today with Garrett, and with that, let's get started here. The One Stock Freedom Plan. Again, just a moment, I will be introducing Garrett Baldwin. I am Don Kaufman. This is a risk disclosure. We are not financial advisors nor a broker dealer. Many of us actually spent ample time inside of the brokerage world, the market making world, and quite frankly, we're contest. Yeah, I'm allowed to put some Seinfeld references in there from time to time. Copyright disclaimer. It's mine. It's all mine. You need the express written consent of the National Football League to be able to rebroadcast this. Look, one of the reasons I throw this up here is right here. If you ever need to get a hold of me or Garrett after today, use support at theotrade.com. We use a common inbox. Just put my name in the subject. It comes right to me. We use a common inbox because many people just have real basic questions. Average response time on most of the emails is about 8 minutes right now. But look, you can get a hold of me, you can get a hold of Garrett, and that's always important to me. A few housekeeping items. Housekeeping? Come on, what movie is that from? You're too slow. It's Tommy Boy, okay? It's Tommy Boy. Shut the door, turn off Telegram. There is no more Skype. Whatever else is distracting you, okay? I think you guys are really going to enjoy what Garrett has presented today. I mean, the slide deck has just an immense amount of time and effort put into this. And I'm telling you right now, focus. You took the time to be here. Focus on being here. This is incredibly important. And again, there's quite a lot actually Garrett's going to run through literally in the next hour here. Now, let's get right down to business. This is why you're here. Okay. Obviously, Garrett's going to be discussing the most tradable, tantalizing ticker in human history. It is a big claim, but it's actually a really accurate one as well. If you like drama, this is it, you know. Why is such a perfect vehicle for generating income, how to get started and book your first profitable trade today. And of course, why we're targeting so many 150% plus moves from one extraordinary underlying. You know, I say you like drama. Yeah, the irony is, though, how about you like things, okay, that you can make money on? And that is what's at the core of today's presentation. A little bit about me before I introduce, of course, Garrett. So again, I'm one of the co-founders here of TheoTrade, and I grew up in this business. Again, everybody always has a story how they got involved in trading. Okay, I didn't have a story of getting involved in trading. Child of the 1970s, I literally grew up around it. I mean, some people, you know, Thanksgiving dinner, you know, and they're talking about whatever's going on in the world. We're talking about what's in the money, out of the money. Okay, who's making markets these days? I mean, literally, I remember growing up, and at the young age of about 8 years old, I went to the Chicago Board Options Exchange the day after Thanksgiving. And I always mention that because it's just like, you know, a really memorable thing of like your childhood. We were in Chicago. We had, you know, Thanksgiving on Thursday. There's a half a trading session on Friday. And that's kind of like bring your kid to work day. So I went down to the Chicago Board Options Exchange, met a couple of traders down there. The interesting irony, and I'm not joking, fast forward like, you know, about 14 years later, I was actually trading there. So I grew up around it, and very early on in my trading career, I started trading in 1998. I was approached within the first 18 months of my trading career, I was approached by a gentleman by the name of Tom Sosnoff. We were cruising up the escalator at the Chicago Board Options Exchange, coming off the trading floor. Tom Sosnoff actually approached me. We went, had a drink together, and he said, "Hey, I'm starting a company called Thinkorswim. Okay, you're young. Okay, seem to know what the hell you're doing. Let's do this." So I joined Thinkorswim very, very early on. Like, there was just a couple of traders sitting around a desk without even a working piece of software when I joined Thinkorswim, started contracting with them. I went on full time at Thinkorswim in 2001 and resided there until 2015. I was on the executive team of Thinkorswim in 2007. We took the company public. Then the company was obviously purchased by TD Ameritrade in 2009 for 700 million. By the way, million with an M. I know it's like only 700 million. Like today, that's like a nothing deal. It's like an afterthought. It was a lot of money in 2009. You don't understand. um, so the company was purchased in 2009. So I actually had an exit in 2007. I did really well on a really good exit in 2009, but TD Ameritrade signed me into a 5-year lockup clause. So I stayed at TD Ameritrade and ran education for at the time was 7 million clients from 2000, basically in 10 to 2015. I ran education for TD Ameritrade after I exited TD Ameritrade, literally 5 years and one day after. Okay, I was the contest. So I bailed out of TD Ameritrade, had to sit on the sidelines for almost a year. And we founded TheoTrade in 2016 and have been doing this effectively ever since. And a lot of the people at TheoTrade, okay, kind of stem and come from my days, obviously, at Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade. Ironically, that's exactly what we're going to talk about here momentarily is how I got in touch with none other than Garrett. So we headhunted Garrett Baldwin to help you, to help simplify things for you. But really, where I heard Garrett's name, okay, for some of the first times, is I went back to one of my close friends and kind of confidants in the industry, which is Tom Sosnoff. So Tom has gone on to be the co-founder, obviously, of Tasty and Tasty Trade, which he sold for over $1 billion. It's weird when you actually have close friends that stood up in your wedding to be selling things for like $1 billion. But I went back over to Tom Sosnoff and asked him a little bit about Garrett. Okay, and that's actually where the first time I actually heard his name, which Garrett actually did a stint over at Tasty. So we know, okay, that people tell us in droves, people are looking for trades that fit into your life and fit into your lifestyle. Okay, dump the watch list grind, potentially narrow your focus to one instrument that moves like clockwork, and you can rinse and repeat. And that's exactly what I was looking for. And Garrett actually provided, and kind of fit the bill there extraordinarily well. Hence, when his name came up multiple times, okay, this is actually who we reached for. So I think you guys will really enjoy this. So let's introduce a little bit about Garrett. So Garrett is a Hopkins-trained economist with a master's degree in economic security, a master's in agricultural trade economics, and an MBA in finance. Okay, so what has Garrett done? A lot of time in school, a lot of time in school. He's an expert in global equity flows. Okay, time the sell-offs to COVID-19, the Nikkei crash, the Silicon Valley banking crisis, and the current sell-off, which you saw back in February, March, and April. Fun thing, we literally had just started working with Garrett when just out of the blue, this guy starts texting me. Like, I don't know Garrett that well. We have a common friend, starts texting me. He's like, "This is it, man. This is this is the signal." Literally started texting me out of nowhere. And I'm like, I'm already bearish, but I'll take that. That's a pretty good confirmation. And that sell-off ensued and was fairly hardcore. So that's one hell of a way to actually start with us here at TheoTrade and catch our attention, is to actually call one of the biggest sell-offs in modern history. Garrett's also consulted for major national financial institutions, including top banks, Wall Street firms, a $3.5 trillion credit fund, Fortune 500, and private equity firms. He's also the author of 3 best-selling books that have been read by hundreds of thousands of people around the world. So here's also one of the hobbies. By the way, I love the before and after picture. Looks very professional here, right, Garrett? Right, Garrett? This is where we're supposed to come in over here. And then looks like he's been looking at baseball cards here for the better part of, I don't know, looks like 6 to 8 weeks straight over here. But Yeah, I actually like this. Garrett is the unofficial curator of the Cardboard Hall of Fame. Okay. And Garrett, man, I know this is actually a picture in your background over here, but these are some serious, serious cards that I am actually seeing in here. I mean, really serious card. Ted Williams. It looks like a Ted Williams rookie. I can't see the rating on it though. Over here's an 8.5, not half bad. All right. So for those of you that know any of the cards on here, like what somebody just said, adopt me. Okay. I like that. Okay. I like it. I don't have any crazy hobbies like collecting that. Okay. I've been collecting children. Does that count? Okay. That's probably not a very good example over there. So Garrett has a saying, to retire well, you only need one ticker. And yeah, that's serious. Okay. Is it crazy talk? Obviously, what ticker is he talking about? Okay. And what's unlocked in this new opportunity? So let's get into it. Let's ask him a little bit about it. Garrett, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Don. Thank you so much for having me today.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean,
yeah, I know that it does sound crazy, but again, we talked about this. Really want to focus on just trying to bring the entire market to people through one ticker, and that's what the conversation is about today. Just the idea that I get up. You were gracious enough to give me the 8:45 slot every day. I get up, I would go through watch lists, we go through momentum, we talk about the markets. But the reality is that when it comes to 12 watch lists, one breakout, one momentum breakdown list, one list of F and Z scores. I mean, all the things that I talk about, if I could just simplify that down to one name, get rid of all 100 charts, just one good setup, one good ticker, a world of never ending opportunity. That's what I'm looking for. And it seemed impossible, but from the conversations that we had, it really was about how do you take all of the market knowledge that you have and just delineate it down to one ticker. And that's really the core focus on what we are going to be doing today. Sound good, Don?
sounds excellent. And I love it because you're distilling it down literally to one ticker. And from there, I mean, learning those skills can proliferate into an entire career.
Absolutely. So that brings, beg the question what you had asked me, could one stock ever meet an exact and demanding wish list? And just to take everybody through this, to show you exactly what we did, it was really about trying to understand, like, what is the one ticker? I'm not talking about the SPY. I'm not talking about the Qs. I'm not talking about the Russell 2000. I'm talking about one stock, one company, publicly traded, that has to be the top dog. It has to have it all. So what we did, which is pretty simple and pretty unique, is we created a tournament of champions, right? So we did the same thing that you do during football season, same thing you do NCAA tournament. We wanted to bring it down to identifying, like, what is the best name? And the best name and the best places to start are obviously the 503 stocks on the S&P 500. Why? Well, this is the United States. These are the most liquid exchanges with the most exposure, and they're trading on the part of the SPY. There's a lot of ETFs. There's a lot of capital tied into these names, and you could see this big list of stocks. But we got to actually get to the cream of the crop. And what we're doing here then is we're just trying to drill it down. Let's just start at $250 billion in market cap. Very simple. Well, it's a lot of money, right? $250 billion. That is a lot of capital, a lot of exposure to ETFs, and it actually took us all the way down to 34 candidates. But we're not done. It has to have options. And interestingly enough, 10 of them, even though there were options chains, they were not highly liquid. We have to be able to trade this. We're not just focusing on the stock, everyone. That's very important. Let's keep going. Well, you got to have volume. You need to be very highly liquid. You need to be able to exit. You want to be able to trade after the bell some of these names because, well, there's earnings, there's big market events. You don't want to get stuck on the wrong side of a stock sometimes. If you are simply a retail trader, you want to be able to trade after hours, and you want to be able to have the ways to actually focus on trading the stock using pre-market, post-market, even if you're using options so that you can help hedge positions. Now, given the fact that there were 12 stocks left and two of the tickers were Google, we just took Google out, right? So we just go with GOOGL, and now we're down to 11. Now, what else do we want? Well, we want the NASDAQ. And if you watched the NCAA tournament, you saw tons and tons of advertising for the NASDAQ 100, the QQQs. I want the QQQ exposure because I want to be able to trade that. We're going to talk about something called a proxy in a little while. And if we do that, we're only down to 9 stocks. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. We want to be able to trade stocks that have leveraged ETFs. And this is important because of all the quote unquote financial innovation that we talk about on a regular basis. We want to be able to expedite our opportunities. We want to be able to utilize leveraged ETFs because this is going to be the next big wave. We know that the TQQ exists, leveraged ETF around the NASDAQ 100, the SPXL, leveraged ETF around the SPX. Now you have double leveraged ETFs around all the names that you're seeing right now. This is Direxion, companies that are engaged in this like Axis Capital. That brings us down to 8 names. But there's one last important thing, very important, and that is the idea of a short float. We want to have names that are actually shorted because a lot of funds pile into these stocks, and ultimately what happens is they're trying to short it, they have to cover. Now, why is this important? Well, a lot of these names that we've talked about are part of massive levels of ETFs. Right. And in the case of the stock that we're going to be talking about today, 1 out of every 10 ETFs in the market today has this ticker. Now, why does that matter? Because virtually all of these ETFs have to buy the stock based on whatever index that they are tracking. So if they are tracking the S&P 500, they need to buy the Tesla stock and or Palantir stock as well that aligns with the weight of the S&P 500. Why does that matter? It matters because a lot of these companies don't care what the performance does because they're making money off of what are known as the expense ratio. They are simply collecting 2% a year, 0.65 basis points a year, whatever their ratio is. That's what they're worried about. They don't care about the performance of the ETF so much as they care about the money that they make generating returns off of that ETF. So what do many of them do? They lend their shares out to short sellers who will pay them a very small percentage per month in order to short the stock. And then when it is necessary to buy the stock back and return it to the ETF. So they're making money off of the short float. That's really critical because that helps them outperform over time, particularly if they are aligned with an ETF and an exchange, something like the S&P 500 or index like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ. So that brings us down to 2, right? It brings us down to 2 things. And this is critical, right? This is very critical. What is the difference between Tesla and Palantir? Well, daily deafening noise. And you saw it today because Mr. Elon Musk came out today and said that he's going to start a political party. Well, that was quite a development off the back of all the other headlines that have transpired going back just to November, right? You had Doge, you had all of the destruction that happened within the dealerships. Daily noise. If you turn on CNBC today, they are going to be talking about Tesla all day long. Palantir doesn't really have that. Daily options are coming on Tesla. This is important. Very liquid, short duration, 0-date options on Tesla. Likely Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, but possible that it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's the case, more liquidity. And the soap opera stock, we just talked about this. Every day there is a story. Every day there is news. And Palantir is a much different company that still a lot of people are trying to understand. When it comes to Tesla, Tesla is like the daily NBC nightly news with Lester Holt. And Palantir is on once a week, like Cheers. That's the difference. The noise, the excitement, the drama comes with Tesla. And here's a very simple way that you can tell the difference between the two. Can you name the CEO of Tesla right now? You should be able to, right? This isn't hard. If you got this, you don't get any points because it's like asking, what's the name of your country? You know exactly who he is. But do you know who the CEO of Palantir is? Only a few people of them actually know who the guy is, who with his crazy hair, right? Alex Karp. That's important because if Musk is on the front page every day, Palantir is usually on the front page once a month, maybe even less. Not a person that you're seeing in the rotation in the news. Palantir does not own one of the single largest social media sites in history and doesn't influence news the way that Musk does. Musk is a news machine. Musk drives the narrative, and not just the narrative around politics and markets, but a lot more culture. Very critical, possibly, if not in the top 5 most influential people in the world right now. and is tied directly to the public markets, which creates an environment every single day to trade the way that this stock moves up and down based on the bullish and bearish sentiment that surrounds it. Okay. Now, most of you already knew that it was Tesla before we came in and talked today. You probably heard a little bit of chatter. And if you've been watching me in the mornings, you know that I watch Tesla every single morning. I talked about it this morning by accident. I talked about it last Wednesday by accident. I was supposed to hide it, but the reality is it's virtually impossible not to get up every single morning and talk about this company. It's virtually impossible not to look at its charts and not see opportunity. It's virtually impossible to not see at least one great setup, if not two, every single day. And that is why the one ticker that can help you retire is Tesla. But the way that we're structuring this is a concept that we've called Tesla 4D. Now, what is that? Well, let me share why Tesla 4D, four-dimensionally, is such a game changer for traders like us. This allows us to target 150% moves every time Tesla rips and breaks down as well. Now, I know what you're thinking because you're looking at Tesla right now. It was $292 per share today. This was a stock that was trading in the 140s early at one point, ripped all the way into the 330s, and now today it's down $20 per share. And you're saying, this is not cheap. This is a pretty expensive stock. I was hoping it was going to be a ticker that I could afford. I was hoping it was going to be something like General Motors. But Tesla 4D is a way to trade Tesla and all the opportunity that it uniquely presents without the hefty price tag, without requiring you to have just to trade 100 shares more than $29,000. That is not what is happening. What makes this a breakthrough and what makes this new and unique and exciting and big is that Tesla 4D frees you and I to focus our time on trading a single ticker. Now, I talk about a lot of things in the broader market. I talk about liquidity. I talked today, this morning, big deep dive into what's happening in the repo markets. You don't have to understand all of that. You just have to understand how this one ticker fits into all of that. And that's the type of focus that we have. This is a relaxed and focused approach to simply trading one name. And while everybody else is playing checkers in how they trade Tesla, you are going to be playing 4D chess. So let me get into this. There are 4 ways to trade Tesla. And I already see questions in the chat. And once again, there is the down. There is the collapse. We're seeing that happen now. We saw this happen in February, which means there are opportunities to trade this over multiple days, even weeks, depending on the way that the thing sets up and can collapse. There is up, there is a launch pad, there is 2 very specific averages and focuses that we take a look at that don't require intraday focus, that instead are longer duration upside moves that can have seen in the last couple of months, for example, a move from November where the stock went up more than 100%. And by using the leverage of the options market, much higher returns. There's reversion. There are the slingshot moves. And we're not just talking about intraday. We're focusing on the multiple day types of returns that are possible if you understand exactly what you're looking for. And then there's the proxy potential. There are proxies. There are other things that are tied directly to Tesla that are ETFs, that are rival companies. And every one of them, as they set up, present unique opportunities. It's simply about understanding the full broader ecosystem of the financial markets through the lens of a company that is deeply entwined in politics, in AI, in energy, and everything else that it does, with a major voice, a major player in Musk, who influences markets like he did today. So let's talk about an example of the collapse, right? So on June 5th, this was a multiple day trade setup that ultimately ended up becoming a short-term big win because of the way that the technical setup, but also the narrative of the stock. And you remember June 5th. You remember Tesla breaking down in a huge manner because Musk and Trump started going at one another. There were some things that Musk said about a certain somebody being involved in a certain case that was kind of resolved today, apparently. There were threats of deportation. It was a lot of WWE style statements toward one another across social media, and the market reacted to that. But what's really interesting about this, because that happened at 12 o'clock that day, I had already recommended that people short that morning because Tesla was in a liquidity trap. And that is a very important broader market story that I like to focus on. I said at 8 o'clock in the morning that day, June 5th, it is time to short Tesla because of a very specific pattern that had broken up. We were looking specifically at moving averages at that time. And the trade, ultimately, because we were at that technical opportunity, that setup, the news actually did all the work for us. We were already there. We were already out in front. But certainly because that breakdown happened between Trump and Musk, it took everything with it. It accelerated the sell-off that we were anticipating, or I was anticipating. So the fight leads to a 15% decline in 3 hours. And by using a proxy, which was under $10, using a call option, I had a trade that went from $1.25 to $2 in just a few hours. So a 60% return. The reality is I was looking for that trade to happen over a period of days. But it happened that day because of the way that it was set up. The news delivered the return much, much faster. So this was something that I was looking to trade on a Tuesday and exit on a Friday. Well, instead, everything came as expected very quickly. Now, there are other ways to trade this too, and there's actually another proxy that allows you to utilize more leverage as these setups come. And instead of a 60% return, this would have returned 120%. And as you can see, this proxy trading under $6 instead of trading a $300 stock. This is important, right? Because the 4D concept gives you the toolkit to take advantage of virtually any headline. And sometimes the move happens, the move starts, and then the headline follows. That's important, right? So in the event of January 21st, when we had what looked very bullish for Tesla, there was a setup and a breakdown, and it became a sell the news event. And Tesla stocks fell as there was news that the EV mandate would be coming to an end. And they were looking at the elimination of subsidies. And that collapse happened at the open, and the stock dropped by 6% after the inauguration. But if you had stayed in and you had paid a little bit of attention on how to trade this potential move, you would have seen a 47% return using a Tesla proxy in about 3 hours. Here's the third collapse. This came back when people were asking about the stock in terms of what was transpiring with low deliveries in 2025. And Morningstar came out and said, is Elon Musk bent on destroying Tesla? Concerns about deliveries and a big drop. Well, here you go. During the peak Doge event, when all the outrage was happening and all the dealership vandalism was occurring and the boycott calls were accelerating and the concerns about sales in Europe were just at absolute fever pitch, the stock falls 4% in 2 hours. But if you turn the other way and you look to trade it, there was a 66% opportunity in the breakdown using another proxy very quickly. It's just about understanding how things set up. Those were the breakdowns. Now let's look at the launch pad. Now let's look at the breakout pattern. April 9th of this year, if you followed me, if you've been listening to the commentary in the morning, you know that I follow a handful of metrics. I have been avoided every single downturn since 2020 simply by following a few technical lines and following a very specific pattern in the markets, a pattern that I talk about constantly, and a lot of people don't listen. But the reality is, we talked about this on air, and we said insiders were buying up stock at a record level. The TQQQ people were buying on volume. And then that afternoon, around April 9th, Trump comes out and says, we're pausing tariffs. It was all there for the taking for anyone who was paying attention and anyone who was following that pattern. This stock rallies 22%. The short covering is fierce and ferocious, and people are piling back into it at its best day since 2013. And if you jumped in here when this stock runs 17%, There was an opportunity for 75% using a Tesla proxy in 26 minutes. April 25th, another very important date. On April 23rd, our momentum signal turned positive. So you had capital flowing into the system. You had a lot of optimism. You saw this stock break above a very important technical pattern that I am always watching, a launch point that I talk about, and Tesla jumps. And this is all built around the idea of EV deregulation. That headline helped pull a stock even higher on the back of strong momentum that had been returning to this market going back to April 9th. If you take advantage of this, when they launched that 9%, Tesla launched 9% after there was a rule change tied to self-driving. And this could have delivered a 536% return in under 4 hours. Now, for the people who are focusing on not trading in the intraday and were interested in the opportunities from the launch position, April 23rd, April 24th set up an opportunity for a longer-term trade. A longer-term trade with conviction that could have delivered similar returns. Launchpad 3 happened on March 24th. Very important date because if you recall, I said back on March 13th that there was no buying pressure in the market after the sell-off that started February 21st. And I said, here comes a short squeeze. And I wrote about it on March 12th at Me and the Money Printer. And I said, here comes the squeeze. Sure enough, it came. And this stock rebounded aggressively as part of that squeeze and part of the tariff easing. The stock rebounded 12% in that day following the post-election pop. This headline does not understand the metrics of the market. It does not understand that there was something bigger happening. But if you're a headline person, a 13% move, that launch at open after news of easing tariffs and the squeeze that was transpiring, a 67% return possible using a Tesla proxy in under 2.5 hours. And again, setting up a longer term trade into the 26th when the selling pattern returned. Now, let me show you what happened last Wednesday, because this is the bread and butter trade. These are the setups that come every day. You simply have to know where to look because it's time to talk about 4D reversions. This is where the opportunity really exists for traders. And this is what you have to understand. Back on July 2nd, in the morning, see that line dropping down. That reversion point, that hit, led to a 50% return for me in 8 minutes. Simply by recognizing what was transpiring across 3 different charts, setting a relatively intelligent stop, this turned around quickly. In fact, that $4 call, forgive me, this was July 2nd, actually went from 4 to about 8.25 and ultimately 9 that day. But I was in and out because I didn't have a lot of time to trade that day. I had other things I had to do. Here's another point, right? Bounces off the trigger line. All of a sudden, you have another reversion to the mean, hold time of about 48 minutes. And hey, not a world-beating return. 12%. 12%, ran out of time, got tired, didn't want to sit at the computer anymore, took a 12% gain. A lot of people will take 12%, especially if you are not used to trading on technicals and want to understand how this all works. 12% can do a lot, can provide a lot of success for a portfolio and for a trader in a day. You will be happy if you walk away making 12% a day, I assure you. Now, here's another one. This happened 2 Fridays ago. Tesla pulled back in the afternoon and it was setting up into Friday. And this is important because what we're looking for are these very specific reversals off of key trigger lines. And this proxy that we had led to a 32% return in about 15 minutes on that Friday afternoon. Not using Tesla, but using a different proxy based on the type of reversion that we were seeking. 32% gain. Now, I've walked through this a couple of times. It's important to understand, yes, there are risks to certain trades, and it's very smart to simply understand that you have to have tight stops. But when you execute this the right way and you reload based on the expectation of these reversions, 1 or 2 losses pale in comparison to what the potential upside can be. Now, you probably don't know this, but this is extremely exciting. This is like, I complain sometimes about the fact that, hey, we don't have a lot of capital allocation to, factories here in the United States. All the money is going to Wall Street. And my economist brain says to myself, man, like people we're leaving a lot of industry behind. But the reality is this is where the money's flowing. Direxion, FS Investments, Access Capital, Granite Shares, Round Hill Defiance, they are creating these vehicles that are going to make it possible to trade Tesla for up to 14 times cheaper than it is today. And it creates a whole new affordable leveraged instruments that will allow us to trade Tesla without the usual expense. And I mean this, 14% cheaper. So while everybody else is paying $14 and ultimately possibly $1,400 for a call option, the Tesla 4D concept allows us to trade for just $1 or $100 per trade, depending on the setup. Now, why am I all in on Tesla? Why am I so excited about this? Because this is a retail trading phenomenon. This is the story of the market's behavior, the idea that people get up every day and are simply looking for ways to make money, not off of 50 different companies, not off to 100 different charts, one name. This is a retail phenomenon. And I'm not just saying that it's happened since 2020. I was a journalist working for Lockbox Magazine and also working for Modern Trader. I remember studying this and working and talking to the bulls of Tesla back in 2015, 2016. And these guys ripping into me for suggesting that this was not the most phenomenal company in the world. It took me some time to figure it out. It took me some time to really understand it. But as I really started to engage and work the way that I do through all my academics, I saw Tesla for what it is. It is one of the heaviest traded options chains in the world, hands down. I don't want to have to worry about the SPY because I don't want to have to worry about Apple influencing another name on that ETF. I want to trade one company. I want to be exposed purely to that company. This is where Reddit and Wall Street collide because, as I have consistently explained, sometimes Tesla has nothing to do with the headline, has nothing to do with the deliveries. You saw this happen the other day. The deliveries were not as good as people thought they were going to be, particularly at the retail space, but it was all about how Wall Street had positioned for that news. So instead of trying to guess and estimate, we simply react. We react to the market. And when you react to the market, you have far more control of what is in front of you rather than trying to guess and speculate and say, oh, I think it's going to be 500,000 deliveries. And maybe it is 500,000 deliveries, but the market expected 600,000. And if that's the case, the stock's going to go down, even if it beat estimates, even if it beat the public estimates. It's all about positioning. So you have all the flair of Reddit, all of the excitement, all of the YOLOing that there is, and then you have the positioning of CTAs and hedge funds and everyone trying to hedge their position before the news, and then you are given an opportunity to react. And that's how I trade. I react. I don't guess ahead of time. You have all of these things that are tied into this stock. ARK Innovation Fund by Cathie Wood. Tesla is a major holding of this, has been a major holding in this for a very long time. It's part of the Qs. It's part of the SPY. It's part of the Catholic ETF, I believe. There's 425 ETFs, the S&P 500 Catholic Values ETF. I don't know why it's on there, except that they're trying to replicate their benchmark. 1/10 of all ETFs owns Tesla. A lot of them lend the stock out. A lot of it enables short positioning. So we have big reversions, big ranges. Every day there's a move here. Every day something big happens. We talk about the average true range, which I walked people through over the weekend. $17. That's a lot of movement in a stock. That's a lot of movement up and down. This is not a stock that is going to be flat most of the time. It's going to react, and as you will see in some of the charts that I've shown, big moves, big violent moves, and the opportunities that come with it. This does not react to hype. This generates hype. It is never quiet. It is always tradable. It is always action every single day. It is a driver of the news cycle. It is on CNBC all day today. You can watch it with the sound off. You're going to see the ticker show up over and over and over and over again. People want to talk about Musk. He controls the press around Tesla. He controls the narrative engine. He has the instant exposure on X. He does public stunts like we saw today. I'm going to start my own political party. Bull Moose, whatever you want to call it. We'll figure it out. Massive amounts of passive investment through the Magnificent Seven. Also critical, because when the Magnificent Seven breaks down, when leverage breaks down in the financial system, Tesla's going with it. No CEO goes to the length of exposure. Can you name another CEO anywhere that has this level of antics, this level of activity? Jamie Dimon doesn't do this. Jamie Dimon is focused on the economy, outward facing from JP Morgan. Musk is about Musk and how it impacts Tesla and Boring and all of his other companies. And the beautiful part about Tesla is there's so much involved in it. This is not a car company. I don't know why people think it's a car company. The name is Tesla. It's an electricity company. How many times do we have to talk about the fact that AI and electricity are one of the biggest challenges in the next decade? The fact that their battery company is a company that I have used. I am a client of Tesla's. My company that's based in Europe, we have a battery storage company. We only use Tesla batteries. Their battery storage business is booming. And that goes under the radar because people are talking about Musk and talking about there's so many different drivers: space, renewables, AI, autonomous vehicles, and of course, electricity, which is very near and dear to my heart because that's where so much action is going to be in the next couple of years. Don't think of Tesla as a car company. Don't think of it as a robot company, and definitely don't think of it as a taxi company. Think about what it truly is. It is the center, the epicenter of the mega trends in the global markets, and because of that, there will always be action. And that's why I put this up here, right? Say, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere, right? Frank Sinatra talking about New York. My point to you is this. If you could trade Tesla 4D, you could trade any stock in the entire market. It is the gateway to a total mastery of the market. I'm not talking about fundamentals and Piotrowski scores and Z-scores. All of that is baked in. All of that is very important. But I'm talking about the way the system works. I'm talking about all the trends, the news machine, the funds, how hedge funds are positioning every single day. There is something huge. And the second that you see all of these things through the lens of Tesla, you will never unsee them again. And that will be quickly something that you can apply to a different company anytime you want. But it all starts with Tesla. And if we start with Tesla, we can focus on targeting 150% moves every time Tesla rips, and also if and when it breaks down. So I'm going to make this very, very simple for everybody. If you like getting up, and I get up every day and I give you guys, a lot of people for free who come into the room with us in the morning at 8:45. I tell you the stocks that I see breaking out. I tell you the stocks that I see breaking down. I go through different lists. I go through the Piotrowski Graham list. I go through the F&Z score list. I go through stocks that have high short interest and have potential to squeeze. I got like 40 watch lists. And if you want to watch our show in the morning, no problem. Come get that. That's all simple. Because if you're into watch lists, then this is not going to be for you. I promise you that. There are a lot of people who have just pure information overload. And here's the problem. If you have too many watch lists and you have too many tickers, you're going to try to trade everything all at once. You're going to distract yourself. Be a master of one. Don't try to be a master of 50 different things. Focus on what's in front of you. And again, if you want to do watch lists and you want to try to just center on one specific 500 different things, then this is not going to be for you. But if you want the freedom to trade one ticker and see the whole market through that one ticker, stick with me, okay? Because I want to bring this down to one name so I can capture all of the macroeconomic side of this, all of the liquidity side of this, all of the reversions and reversals and momentum and value and everything else that is possible in the market in one name. All of the microeconomic elements, all of the things that make this company completely different than anything else, educating people on the individual trend itself and the various sectors and the various tickers that all align with those different trends. All of that together. Because Tesla 4D is the only ticker that you need, which is why we are starting tomorrow an accelerated Tesla 4D bootcamp. And what do I mean by that? I mean tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we are going to be live And for a relatively long period of time, I am going to walk everyone through the entire financial system, one company, one ticker, and show how to trade this stock. High probability, high conviction stock trades and options trades that you can make starting tomorrow, this live masterclass, all through the lens of one company. There's nothing else like this. There's nothing else like this. This is new. This is unique. This is big. This is something that, again, I am focusing on being a very defensive trader as well. I don't like to just shoot for the moon. I like things that I perceive to be safe, high conviction. And all of that education comes through this. And once again, it's just about helping you see through very easy lens how this market really truly functions, and to give you, again, the opportunity to be successful. Joining the 4D Bootcamp today allows you to get 24-hour, 7-day-a-week access to this recording. And as I said, it's over 6 weeks. That means we are going to have 12 sessions that go through everything with Tesla, everything with this market, every opportunity that it presents. We will do 2 live sessions per week. There will be 2 trade ideas a week. And we're going to look in that chat room, which we're going to talk about, the 4D private VIP chat room. I will be hanging out there. We will be looking for intraday reversals, and we will be looking for the long-term setups for these stocks, depending on where the stock is trading at any given moment. In addition to that, you will receive 2 options masterclasses hosted by Don Kaufman. And we're going to talk about those momentarily. But once again, I came here to TheoTrade because I know the reputation of Don. I know how he built education at TD Ameritrade. He talked a little bit beforehand about our common friend in Tom Sosnoff. This was very important. I was very adamant that the Options 101 and Options 201 masterclasses were part of this masterclass to give you insight and access. And then today, in addition, we've added a new benefit, and that is our 4D cheat sheet, which we are going to be kicking off today. Now, to give you a little bit of an understanding of this, we've already been trading Tesla. And one of our viewers said, 14% move, great call on Tesla. It made 500% on those at the money calls, shorting Tesla by using the TSLS, which is an inverse ETF around Tesla. The new Tesla Masterclass kicks off tomorrow, Tuesday, June 8th, 1 o'clock Eastern. It is all locked and loaded. I have spent the entire weekend preparing this, and we're going to give you a step-by-step guide. I'll teach you the proprietary trading rules and systems I use to trade Tesla 4D. Again, this is new. This is big. There's nothing else like this anywhere. You will not see this opportunity again anywhere anytime soon unless somebody tries to copycat me. And trust me, a lot of people have done that in the past. This class will be recorded. You will have unlimited access, and this retail value is at least roughly $2,000. And if you want to take a look at everything else that you can get, you can always just go to theotrade.com/Tesla. But I just want to keep walking you through what you're going to get by being a member of this masterclass. We're going to focus on my one line, my one ticker, and the one setup 4D trading system, right? I literally watch one line, and I'll share everything in that masterclass. It's very, very critical because when this does present itself, it presents a world of opportunity for Tesla and all of the other proxies that are tied to it. And this is how you end up with some of these gains, right? P. Butts 5 saying 62% return on the TSLS put yesterday. He got in late and says 62%. That's incredible. That's the type of opportunities that this stock presents itself. As I said, we're going to focus on 12 high conviction trade alerts. Yes, a lot of them will be intraday trades because that sets up. But as the market allows us, there will be higher conviction multi-day trades. And once again, you will receive simple execution instructions. These are very small account friendly. I've been asked about this. You only need $1,000 to $2,000 to get this set up. Okay. 2 high probability trade alerts per week. I will be in the chat room walking people through, looking for those opportunities as they emerge. And obviously, as we are in the chat room doing the live sessions, looking for trades at that exact moment as well, and walk you through how to do it. You will have 12-week access to the Tesla 4D VIP chat room, day-to-day mentoring and trade setups. And again, Don said this. You can always reach out at support@theotrade.com. Put my name in the subject line. You can ask questions anytime you want. Questions are answered live day to day, and this has a retail value, again, because of the time commitment of about $2,000. Slick Cobra still has told us about how much wine he was going to have at the party. It did not share. That's okay. Trading the SPY call, very important. Again, another proxy. A 597 call paid $1,500. Very short-term trade. Lots of wine in his future. Again, I talked about Don and the importance of being in an environment where people actually understand trading. And I say that not to be mean, but just because I've worked in environments where people kind of sort of try to understand options. It's not terribly difficult, but it's pretty intimidating at the onset. And there are a lot of people who simply say, well, I'm going to create something and we're going to add options just for the purposes of trading options. No, that's not how it works. You have a professional who truly understands the pits, who truly understands reversals, who truly understands everything that has to do with getting started with options trading, right? TD Ameritrade, focusing on all of that retail education for years and years and years. That is trusted name. So having this in the package itself gives you the full scoop on options from the guy who revolutionized retail options trading at Thinkorswim. $300 value, probably worth far, far more given Don's background and knowledge. Now today, put together a new cheat sheet. This is a perfect companion to your 4D accelerated bootcamp experience, helping you understand where to get started, what the types of tools and the types of trading that we are going to be doing. And again, the amount of time that we put in this, about $100 value, but this is something that you're going to be able to get right away to take advantage of what we're going to be doing tomorrow, to really start to understand the vernacular and understand how we're going to hit the ground running when we talk about not just Tesla, but everything else that is happening in these global markets. This is important too. I want you to have a good experience. I want this to be the most beneficial experience that you've ever had when it comes to understanding the markets. I have a deep education in the financial system, going back to working under Ellie Kennedy at the World Bank, going back and working with Ken Carew at Indiana, working with Phil Abbott at Purdue University, going to Harvard Business School and studying cross-border capital under Forrest Reinhardt. I have a lot of academic background, but I have a lot of practical trading experience as well. And all of the technicals and all of the tools and all of the things that we're going to be laying out here is a lifetime of experience. And you are going to get a lot out of it. But if this ends up not being for you, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. We're sticking our neck out. The money-back guarantee, if you are not satisfied in the next 30 days, email support@theotrade.com and receive a full refund. There are no stipulations. We're simply being very candid. I want this to be a good experience, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I'm taking that risk off your back today. No excuses, no questions, no commentary needed. Just email us and ask for your money back. But I don't think you're going to, because I think you're going to learn so much out of the next 6 weeks that you're going to probably want more. And that's one of the reasons why we have an additional opportunity for people starting today. Secret Agent Charlie Santa went 3 for 3 on plays yesterday using one of the strategies that we will be outlining. Big wins, right? And if you go to Tesla 4D or theotrade.com/Tesla, you will see our order form talking about why Tesla, talking about the boot camp, talking about the trigger lines and why these are so important, the difference between chasing hype and executing with precision, the difference between guessing and setups and guessing what is going to happen with Tesla tomorrow versus knowing the exact moment to strike, the difference between missing trades and mastering the market. We are going to be live tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And you can see we have the 4D trade alerts and we have access to the private chat room and the 101 and 102 with Don and the new cheat sheet. But I want to just point this out as well. We're also giving people the option to extend their VIP experience for another 6 weeks. So in addition to doing the 6-week boot camp and the bonus power pass, you have the option of an extra 6 weeks for VIP trade room access, which means I will be leading in the chat room, more opportunities, more trades, more insight on when there is opportunity. And there is one big bonus that I'm not going to broadcast yet. We're going to talk about it live tomorrow, but it's going to be one of the most important tools that you can use to set up, and it's always going to be in the room for you 24 hours a day. So if you want the extra 6 weeks of VIP trade room access, that is an option. It is an extra $500. And the total for this, $995, right? We've talked about different ways to focus on this. There are only 50 seats today. Only 50 seats today. We had high demand the other day, and we did want to provide people with a little bit more opportunity. I'm going to run a relatively tight ship here. So it's very important that you get in here and join one of the last opportunities that we have. In addition, you'll see that the education that people are getting is really critical here, right? I am high focus on education. I'm not going to simply recommend a trade just to recommend a trade. I will never force a trade on you. I want you to actually learn this. This is very important. I have worked in this industry, been around the block for a lot of time. I know how certain businesses have worked when it comes to education. This is one of the very first places that I've ever worked at where I genuinely know that Gianni and Blake and Don and everyone else are actively interested in your success. And that is what unites all of us here. And this is from Ronnie. I and others have been adding your chart settings to our charts and have been knocking the cover off the ball. Thanks for your insights. That's why I get up. That's why I do what I do. I want to balance the difference here for the retail trader and the institutions. I want to show you that a lot of the insight and a lot of the news that is out there is not going to help you. And if you just focus on a couple of key things, very simple things, you will improve your batting average and ultimately your possibilities. Dawn's saying I traded it and it works. That setup is golden, Garrett. That's exactly the point. As these setups emerge and as these opportunities present themselves, you want to take advantage of it. You want to have conviction. You want to hit the bid, meaning you want to buy, having high conviction and knowing exactly what do I do if it goes sideways? How do I exit the trade? What's the proper way to do that? You're not going to be in a position where it's going to be all or nothing. You're not going to be making trades where your downside is 100%. That's not how this works. That's not smart trading. But your upside, that's why we're targeting 150%. So once again, 50 seats today, theotrade.com/Tesla. If it's not, again, T-Wave's saying not to interrupt, but your SMR spread trade from 530 is trying to go to 100%. You guys saw it with that. You saw what I've talked about when I was talking about insider buying, for example. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking just on the show, and I said, look, I don't see this very often, but Bit Digital, right there, Bit Digital, little tiny crypto company. Nobody had heard of it. CEO bought $2 million in shares, or $1.5 million in shares at $2. The stock has run to $3.40, $3.50, almost $4 since. These are the things that we're looking for. And yes, that stock might not have a lot to do with Tesla on the surface, but it's part of a broader ecosystem. And that ecosystem that you have to see is tied to this name, tied to what Tesla can deliver, because you only do need one stock to understand the whole financial system, the whole stock market. And once you start to really execute and be successful with that stock, as I said, you will be able to apply this anywhere, anytime you want. That's my goal for you. And I would love in a couple of months that we do another boot camp about another name that is very similar. Don't be shocked if I come back and say, hey, we're going to do another boot camp, and then it ends up being Tesla, because Tesla is the best stock in the world to trade. And it's not even close. So if you need us, call us. We have reps available right now, 623-244-5657, or go to theotrade.com/Tesla, theotrade.com/TSLA, not Tesla, TSLA. Use the ticker, not the name of the company. And we will go to some Q&A in a moment. But I do want to just answer a couple very quick questions, obviously very important. I know some people are on the fence, and I get it. But we're going to talk just a little bit about this, right? You don't need much. You do need a laptop, okay? I know that some of you trade on your phone, but I'm going to tell you very simply, if you want to see what we're going to be focusing on, because again, this is a boot camp. This is about education. You need a laptop and you need an internet connection. Yeah, you could take the trades and they're going to be sent to you, and you're going to be able to make the trade on your phone anytime. But if you want to see the setups, you need a little bit of a bigger screen. Just going to let you know. You can email us at any time and receive a response within 24 hours, including trade-related questions. Variations of the trades are available within an IRA or a retirement account. And as I've said, you want to have anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 in your account. That's important. Remember, we have just 50 spots available today, and you will get results, take action, and enroll now. theotrade.com/Tesla. And once again, the phone number, if you missed it, 623-244-5657. All right. We are starting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If I have a meeting at that time tomorrow, when will the recording be available? We will have it available within the hour for you. Don't worry about that. We will be very quick on that. Are there day trades? So there will be a combination of different styles of trading, okay? Because once again, my focus here is to educate you on taking what the market gives you. There will likely be an opportunity, and as you will see it, and as I will educate you on this, anyone who is a day trader should have an opportunity to trade this at least once a day. But if you are not a day trader, or you are someone who is looking for one directional, there will be spread opportunities depending on where we are on certain moving averages, and we will have one directional calls based on the momentum of the stock, and I will be walking you through all of the different indicators that I utilize and the different leveraged ETFs. If you don't want to trade options, there's a good thing for you. There are those proxies that I've talked about that incorporate a little bit of leverage, but those can be for 1 or 2 or 3 day setups, not something that you want to hold for a longer period of time, but just educating you again on what those potential options are. Okay. Risk management is crucial. Are the setups usable on stocks beside Tesla? 100% can. Once again, I pointed out that if you could trade Tesla, you can trade anything. So if you could trade the setups from Tesla, you will be able to trade the SPY, the Qs, Apple, and in some cases, even some of the stocks that are down on that are high volume on the Russell 2000 that have options chains. If you want to trade Apache Energy, you're going to have the opportunity to do that. Now, I want to point something out to you because if you looked at today's chart, right there it is, 955. That was the setup today. Now, I'm not cherry picking this either because once again, it hit a very specific line, and we saw the call option that was in target go from about 650 up to about 10 in a very short period of time. But the way that trade would have been set up, if you bought that at 655, your stop out would have been somewhere around probably $6. So again, teaching you how to trade these reversions. That reversion was set up. It is in the chart. I will show you exactly where in the chart we were looking in order to accommodate that. And one last thing. I mean, again, this is all about trading in the broader macro world as well. So I want you to keep in mind, there are going to be key lines that we are focusing on: post-election rally, liquidity event that transpired, momentum return to the market back here in April, all of these things. And now the stock under a little bit of pressure, right? What does that mean? How do we trade it? Well, I'm going to walk everybody through that, the optimal ways to trade this stock right now based on current broader market conditions. You're going to learn more than just Tesla. You're going to learn how the whole thing works. And that's what's critical, because once you see the entire system through one name, you're never going to unsee it. Can you comment on your losses? No one wins 100% of the trade at the time. No, you're absolutely right. So recently there was a loss on Tesla. It was a 10%. It was a 10% loss. And the reason that I lost was because I was trying to trade momentum to the downside and not following the rules, very candidly. Typically, that is where I lose. I lose when I don't follow my own rules, or I try a sell-off reversion. So if you've watched me in the morning and you've seen me talk about a very specific indicator, I'm looking for rebounds to the upside. When I try to short to the downside, I lose. So I don't do that anymore. As far as trading goes, my stops are very tight. It's very important because, again, we're trading around very specific launch points and breakdown points. We keep the stops tight. If you are interested in keeping your losses low and your risk defined, We will focus on utilizing spreads for that purpose. My win rate's probably around 57 at the moment. And again, I focus heavily on very tight losses and very high upside trades. So I hope that answers your question, David. Glad that you like the BTBT trade. I sure hope you like Tesla more, though, Jam Trader. Again, BTBT had a big run. Glad to see you guys had that 20% for a runner. That's an awesome win, and that's the type of things that we're trying to deliver on a day-to-day basis. And if you think that, those smaller companies present opportunity, then again, you will see a lot more opportunity in Tesla. Will it work for TradeStation? Does it work for Thinkorswim? Yes, 100%. I will be focusing a lot of the education, though, through FinViz and TradingView. But nonetheless, all of these things are available on Thinkorswim, and we will work over the next couple of days to ensure that we have all of the tools in place for you to be successful. Is order flow access needed for this? Nope. No, it's not. It is not. All you need is one line. Right. I missed the replay of the webinar. Is there a replay? Yes, there will be another replay. We also had the webinar from Wednesday as well. We'll put that link in as well. Do you use this for ES futures? I don't use this for ES futures, but one of the setups that you are going to see has been utilized by people who are using ES futures. It has complemented some of Tony's work very well, apparently. So that's good to help you give conviction both on the futures side and just on the individual equity. I am an equity trader. I am an options trader. I do not trade futures. I know very little about it. It seems very comparable. I've never been a futures trader, and even when I'm talking about like trading oil, I focus more on upstream production companies and the OILU, which is an ETN, than I do in oil futures. What about TradingView indicators? What about them, Ken? You mean how to set them up? All of that will be part of the education ahead of time, and the indicators themselves. Again, you're just simply using Tesla, so the setups will all be in place and very easy for you to manage that. With how do I manage account and drawdown? Once again, PDelv, I don't focus heavily on I don't have a significant amount of losses that are over 15%, and again, we'll focus to the upside, and I will make multiple trades on the exact same thing a couple of times, but eventually, the focus is trade it until it breaks. And we've been very successful in that. And as you're going to see, my short side focus, particularly in breakdowns, one of the things that's going to be very valuable in this is understanding how the broader market works. We have had, I did more research on this today. We've had a 4 Sigma event in 2020, a 7 Sigma event in 2021, a 4 Sigma event in 2022, a 5 Sigma event in 2023, a 4 Sigma event in 2024, and another 4 Sigma event in 2025. We used to call those things black swans. We used to call them fat tail risks. Now they're just Tuesday. So one of the key things that you're going to see is in the broader market, we're going to have another big breakdown in this market because of leverage, because of volatility, because of issues within the plumbing of the system that goes back to 2018. And when that breaks, is going to be an opportunity to go short Tesla. I'll show you how to do that. And then when we see the pattern with the insider buying and the policy shifts and the accommodation, and Tesla will take off again, that is going to be your outsized opportunity to make a lot very quickly. And it's just simply about having studied the markets and understanding how the optics work. That's where your opportunity, your big opportunity, is going to be. And you're going to have a couple of those over the next few years. You just have to be patient. You just have to know exactly what you're looking for. And that's part of the education that you will be receiving starting tomorrow. Do you use Thinkorswim or TradingView for TradeView platforms? I primarily trade. I make trades on Thinkorswim. I use TradingView to identify the setup. And just so you know, if you don't have access to TradingView, we were going to make sure that you have a visual for it to use within our chat room. So that's kind of one of the things that we're setting up right now. So once you see it, you'll instantly be able to be in the chat room and recognize when these opportunities do emerge. So you don't trade Tesla to the downside. I absolutely trade Tesla to the downside. The time to trade Tesla to the downside, though, is really built around two things. One, focusing broad on the broader liquidity issue that we've talked about. And when these sell-offs happen in the market, again, 2020, Archegos sell-off, 2021, gilt crisis, 2022, Silicon Valley banking crisis, 2023, Nikkei crash, 2024, most recent sell-off, 2025. I'm out in front of those things. I am well documented on this. Virtually every sell-off, every single sell-off since April 2020, on the back of a very simple mathematical formula that will be part of this education as well, and also confirmation built around one specific ticker. The key thing here, just to keep in mind, is when the market goes, and the market's going to go again. Don't worry about that. Once it breaks very specific lines and you have exactly knowledge of what this looks like, going to the downside with something like the TSLS or the TSLQ, the upside is monstrous. But you have to be patient because you may only get one or two of those events a year, maybe one at the least, maybe two, maybe three, depending. With 2022, we had 5 of them. That's where the real big upside to short Tesla is. And I want you to actually know when it is time to short Tesla, when it is truly time. Be very careful trying to short something in a world where there is ample liquidity in the system. All right, guys, I have to wrap it up momentarily. If you're on the fence on this, I'm just going to tell you this. You got to make a choice because we are going to be leaving the station very quickly. And once you see this, the way that everything sets up, you're never going to unsee it. I have spent the last 5 years of my life building a thesis that time and time again, people have been stunned to see. And one of the beauties of this, particularly when I started writing about this most recent sell-off on February 21st, I sent a letter out and I said, guys, our equation's gone red and we don't know why. That's going to be part of this education. I'm going to show you precisely how to use this for predicting sell-offs and volatility, and you're all going to be able to see it through one ticker, which is the beauty of it. Those opportunities, again, I've had people write me letters saying that I saved them tens of thousands of dollars in the middle of a sell-off. That means more to me than, the trying to make $20,000 in a day. The key thing here is that the entire system, all this liquidity, all this capital flowing through one particular space is the best education you will have when it comes to the financial system and the markets. Are those conditions only for the big events, or how can we apply it to more regular basis? You are going to see that. There are very specific technicals that we can utilize, and I'm going to be walking you through all of them. There are 4 indicators that you need to trade Tesla. Actually 5, but we're going to go through all of that, part of the masterclass. And again, helping you understand high conviction opportunity as it emerges. Those are big events. Now, if you want to try to short Tesla, pretty simple to do that, right? But you have to obviously set up, the conditions have to set up. They're not going to come every day. They might come once every 2 weeks. They might come once every month. But the key thing here for the downside, and not the necessarily reversion that we're looking for on a daily intraday basis, seeing this setup, allowing you to know when it is time to have high conviction to short something, that is key. It is not something that you want to just keep trying to do over and over and over like a crazy person. You need to wait for the liquidity event to transpire, and you need to have your eyes open and know exactly what time of year that is likely going to occur, and be prepared. It's probably coming in September and October of this year. But for now, Tesla, the rest of this market, the way that we're setting up, it is a fascinating time. It is a fascinating time. This does not include the Substack subscription, but once again, we will be talking about the very specific indicators and a lot of the things that I talk about over at that Substack, because it sets up the narrative for understanding the whole financial system through one particular company. Will your indicator setup download directly onto TradingView? It's already in TradingView. It's already there. You don't need anything new. All you need is what TradingView provides. What about TradingView indicator? You're legitimately only using 3 indicators that are already plugged into the TradingView. What time of day will we be live? We're going to be live tomorrow at 1 o'clock, most likely on Thursday, probably 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And then Friday, I'm going to be traveling in the afternoon, but I will be in the chat room looking for opportunities and set up into the Friday period. I will be traveling next week, but I will be doing the session twice next week. So it will most likely be Tuesday and Thursdays. But we will also do some bonus focus on Fridays because we want to be able to trade around Third Friday, which is coming up in 2 weeks. All right. That's good. All right. So once again, everybody, don't hesitate on this because this will be one of the most comprehensive things you will ever see. You will take with it something that matches your trading style. You will learn something completely unique, and you will see things that you will never be able to unsee in the financial system. One ticker, one setup, one opportunity. Looking for it over and over and over again. And yes, we are playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers. If you need us, call us 623-244-5657. I got to call it a day. Are there days that I don't trade? No, we're looking for that setup every single day. That's why we will have the chat room. And my goal, again, is to educate everybody on how to do this, that everyone, we create a community built around this, and that everyone will see the setups as they come and be able to help everyone find success. So yes, there will be days that this is done twice a week, but again, we will have a chat room and we will be looking for those setups as they emerge. 623-244-5657, theotrade.com/TSLA. Last chance, everybody. We're leaving the station tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Be ready. I want to thank everybody for their time. So other than a few days off, is every day for 6 weeks. We are doing this live 2 days a week for the next 6 weeks. We will have a chat room that is live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I will be in that chat room looking for setups as they emerge. We will not be live every single day. It is a accelerated 6-week, 2 times a week boot camp with 2 trades set up, Rise. So very important just to keep this in mind. Just throw everything that you will get up on one slide. Here it is. 24-hour access to the recording. We have the chat room that will be open, 6-week weekly Tesla Mastermind, 2 live sessions per week. And those sessions will probably go 1 to 2 hours, probably may even go longer depending on the way that the market is setting up. And we will be doing at least 2 trades a week. So also keep in mind, you get the 101 and 201 masterclass and the new cheat sheet. So everyone, thank you so much. Again, you're not going to see anything like this. You're going to see some knockoffs. Which days of the week? Tuesday and Thursday for right now. Tuesday and Thursday. Setting up in the afternoon. And that's why we're looking for reversals. And the other thing that's important, I will probably be trading this at 10 o'clock to 10:30 as well. So I will be in that chat room from 10 to 10:30, 10 to 11, because sometimes these setups come in that morning period like we saw today. So in addition to being in the mastermind courses where we're going to be teaching you and focusing on the markets, we're also going to be in the chat room looking for those setups as well. The 101 and 102 should be available now, but I will put everyone on our team on that right away. Theotrade.com/Tesla. And once again, if you need to chat with somebody, making it simple for you, just pick up the phone, 623-244-5657. Again, just 50 seats today. And we're already starting to see a lot of people signing up, signing in. Just real quick, making sure that I have everything that I need. Yeah, we got a lot of people coming in. So just real quick, just want to say thank you to Kimberly in Scottsdale, Thomas in Lafayette, Mark in Arlington, Donna in Arlington, Greg in Haymarket, Jim in Phoenix, Rizwan in San Diego, Matthew from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, Kevin from California, John from West Orange, Stephen from East Berlin, Cynthia from Clark Summit, Glenn from Canada, Paul from Gurley, Alabama, David from Tucson, and Patrick from Brookfield, Massachusetts. Guys, we only have 50 seats left today, so speed it up. Let's get in here. Let's get active. Looking forward to a great kickoff to this session tomorrow. I hope everybody has a great day. Once again, if you need us, just give us a quick phone call. Where are we? There we are. Nope, that's not it. There it is, 623-244-5657. Mr. Tony Ragu, I think, is coming up next. Theotrade.com/Tesla. I will see everyone tomorrow. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear me today. And I'm looking forward again to tomorrow's first session. Take care, everybody.